This short slideshow, and I guess pep talk about collaboration, is based on a project that I wrote, a textbook project that there's a link right there, and that's a chapter on collaboration in case you're curious. First question a lot of times students want to ask is why are we doing this at all? What I have found over years of teaching is that students almost universally hate these sort of collaborative group writing projects. And yet teachers like to assign them, and as a teacher I find collaborative writing projects to be among the most productive and educational worthwhile projects in my classes. So why am I doing this? Why are we doing this at all? Well, the first thing is that you've been collaborating all along, perhaps didn't even really think about it. You've been collaborating through peer review groups, through interacting with each other. And you have to remember that writing is always an act of a social process. No one goes off by themselves and just writes and then throws it out the window and hopes that somebody reads it. Rather, writing is interactive between groups. So it's important for us to collaborate in our writing activities. Collaboration is a real-world activity. This may be shocking to you, but there's a pretty good chance that whatever career you're hoping to get begin after your college career ends is going to involve working with others. There are very few positions, especially positions having to do with writing or education, in which you work only by yourself. So the idea that you will have to collaborate with others is something you might as well get used to, because that's pretty much the way the world works. Now, with the movie projects in particular, one of the huge advantages of collaboration is to share technical expertise, help each other out, to share equipment, to act in each other's films, to act together, and so forth. And I think that the collaborative aspect of the film project is important, because these projects can be a lot of work. And, last but not least, it's fun. It's fun to work with others. Now, let me explain what I would describe as two extremes of collaboration. On the one hand, you have what I would describe as very close collaboration. This is, people literally working together on every aspect of a project. On the other hand, you have what I would describe as very distant collaboration. This is what I would describe as the sort of factory work we're used to with things like assembly lines. Now, the advantages of very close collaboration projects is that everyone's involved, and so and there's an equal share then for everybody who's a part of it. Since it's one project and working together almost constantly, it's seamless. There's some books like this, like some popular fiction novel writing, and also some academic books where two writers work together on a long text, and they work so closely together that you can't really tell which part one wrote and which part the other wrote. And these very close collaborative experiences can be very, very satisfying for everyone involved. Now, the disadvantages of it, though, is that if you have people who are working together who one is a harder worker than the other, then some people will feel some resentment for the idea of that this intimate collaboration, one was carrying the load. It can be difficult to coordinate meeting times, especially if you have larger collaborative groups like the ones that are set up for this project. And of course, it can be very, very time consuming, because it's just that much more intimate of work. Now, very distant collaboration, and this is the sort of thing that is we're all familiar with things like the assembly line, is that it's easy to assign tasks. In this picture, you see this person's doing one thing, that person's doing another, which means that you can usually have fewer face-to-face meetings, because you simply assign everyone a task, they go off, they do their task, and they go out and they come back and do it. And, as a result of these things, this is a very efficient way to collaborate. This is the reason we make cars the way that we do. But on the other hand, it's also disjointed and can be kind of clunky, which is also why sometimes our cars are the way that they are. Furthermore, someone has to be in charge to coordinate all these disparate parts, and as a result of that, not everyone's going to be equal. Someone's going to have to take on a higher role, And also as a result of it, there's a real chance of being disenfranchised or feeling kind of out of it. And again, assembly line work is a good example of that, because a lot of people I've talked to who've worked on assembly lines are very interested in coming back to college to avoid keeping on that sort of work where they don't feel involved. Now, the goal then is for you to find what I would describe here as the sweet spot. You want to borrow some of realistically, you can't work together all the time in all your project. But also, as realistically, you don't want to relegate everything to just disparate parts. So what you want to do is borrow from both the advantages of very close and very distant collaboration, and try to maximize the advantages of these two different types of two extremes of collaboration while minimizing the disadvantages. Some ways that you can do that. I think that it's probably true that somebody has to be in charge of a collaborative group. And for this project, it would ideally be the contact person who's going to be on campus and able to chat with me about different aspects of the movie. However, everyone needs to have more or less an equal role. Now, this is not to say that everyone has to do everything. Someone might be the script writer, someone might be the filmer, someone might be the editor, someone might be the actor, whatever. But what I'm saying is that everyone should be able to claim a more or less equal stake in the project. Some of the group members are going to have to meet face to face. Now, I realize that that's not going to be possible for everyone, because there are some people taking the class online who are just geographically not going to be able to gather. But at least some members of the group are going to be able to gather, are probably going to have to gather. And I know from the survey data that I've asked of you to fill out that most of you are actually either taking classes on campus or are close to campus. There's other ways to meet too. Think of the EMU online discussion space as a place to meet, if you will, because you can post messages to each other there. There is the phone, after all. You could potentially call each other up. There's different chat kind of spaces online as well. And, if you need help, just be sure to ask. I'd be happy to help try to facilitate a meeting, to help, make communication work. And I'm certainly there to help answer any sort of technical questions you might have. Now, one thing that I've found in this project that helps reassure people about collaboration, because I think that one of the fears that people have about collaborating is that there's one person who does all the work and then two people who basically sit around and don't do anything, and then everybody gets the same grade. Well, that's kind of a problem. And by the way, the problem the other way is if one person does all the work and refuses to let the other people in the group do the work, that's kind of a problem too. So here's my effort in trying to keep everybody honest. When you hand in your individual essay for this project, I want you to do these three things. First, I want you to tell me what it is that you did to collaborate with your group. In other words, what did you see your role in the group in terms of making the movie? Second, what do you think other people in the group did to collaborate? In other words, what were the roles as you understood it for the other members of your group in the project? And last but not least, what grades do you think others in the group should get for their participation in the collaborative project? What I'm getting at is that if you really think that there's someone in your group who really dropped the ball, well, this is your chance to make that statement. And I will factor that sort of result into the grade. In other words, in a group of 4 people, if 3 people think that, Johnny didn't do the work, well, then Johnny will probably get a grade lower than everybody else. This is sort of the speak now or forever hold your peace kind of moment, though. If you are unwilling or unable to criticize other people in your group for not doing something that you thought that they should have done, well, you had your chance. And if everybody in the group feels like that they got along and did their work together, then everyone will get more or less the same kind of grade in terms of that aspect of the project. My experience in the past has been that for the most part, people actually do work together pretty well in these projects. And believe it or not, they actually end up having some fun too.